Okay, welcome everyone. I am going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Okay, let me just move you guys. So this presentation is, well, it's a presentation and a little bit of a workshop. So if you have any papers nearby or anything, or like, a computer to write, have that ready. But this is From Sweet to Steamy, How to Navigate Romance Heat Levels and Find the Right Fit for You. My name is Elizabeth Suggs, but I also go by Scarlett Xavier for my pen name, and we'll kind of talk about names in just a minute. So, and one thing a little bit about me is I write in horror and thriller stuff in my Elizabeth one, and then I've been doing a lot of novellas in my Scarlett Xavier one. And for me, understanding the romance heat, like I just went all in, but maybe that's not right for everyone, right? And one thing people need to remember is romance isn't just one category, it's a spectrum of different things. There's clean, saucy, a little bit of tension. I feel like a lot of people who dive in maybe get overwhelmed with thinking that they have to have so much in their book to make it sell, or if they don't have their characters kiss, or maybe they want a lot of stuff but then they don't know how to like navigate which is the right thing. And this is kind of that presentation on that. So we'll go through a few of the categories first. Oh, I forgot to add this here. Sorry. So this is a sweet, clean romance. There's gonna be like kisses only. This is probably more of the fade to black. They're focusing on the emotional connection. Example markets is going to be like Hallmark. It's I mean, and all romance theoretically is predictable because it's safe, right? We have a very formulaic way of like, okay, they're going to get together, they might break up, but then they're going to get together again. And then for this one, though, it's all about like the light touches. The if they do something, we're not going to see it later. In the 1960s, they did that kiss and then it would fade away. So it's like very sweet, very not innocence, probably the wrong word. And I know some people don't really like the dirty, clean connotations of that too, but that's what it is, right? It's like that clean or sweet. Then you have sensual or closed door. So this one slightly kind of blends that sweet with the steamy because there is sexual intention and desire now. Maybe the two characters get really close. You can feel that heat. They focus on feelings and relationship growth though. So there's still, and there might be some sex, but it's all happening off page. You might hear about some stuff, but it really doesn't go into detail. But this is really about that tension, the focus, like high heat. So before, right, there was the sweet, clean. That's the hallmark. It's also probably Pride and Prejudice. This is going to be a little bit more not sexy, right? But there's a little bit more steam. So maybe like a PG-13 movie, right? Like maybe now we're having light kisses, or we might have a little bit of a deeper kiss in this, but again, we're not going really into that graphic sex or anything like that. Then there's Open Door and Steamy. Okay, so this is kind of the stuff that I just kind of plowed right into, but it's not for everyone. So, and even still, I do a little bit more than this, but this one is, so now we've gotten it steamier. Their sex scenes are shown, but they're not explicit. That's the big key, is now we're talking about it, we're open to it, but we're not talking like in graphic detail. The emphasis is on the emotional intimacy and physical connection. So another one you could kind of think of is, in my opinion, I feel like Court of Thorns and Roses would be a little bit more like this. And the reason why I know people say it's super steamy, but it's not that steamy compared to some of these other books that I've read. Because yes, they talk about, she does go in a little bit of detail, like how hands are like clawing on the back or something. And she does talk about the length. So maybe it's a little bit more, but it's still not that graphic and it's really, really, really focused on that emotional intimacy. Like, yes, they are having sex in the act, but it's not really the sex we're talking about. It is that emotional roller coaster. Okay, now we're getting into spicy erotic romance. So this is the explicit scenes. This is like, um, and I have a cover later that shows you, but if you've ever heard of Lights Out, that's a very explicit, steamy book. There is a story, but it is high sexy. And this is a lot of sexual exploration. It centers that around the relationship arc. So this is something that you you don't necessarily need it for this like you can pull that away and it's still like a romance, right? But it's really the sex is also helping the story along. So um for instance in Lights Out it's a dark romance and the characters kind of come together, but like it does really start with this like sexual desire because the main guy, he has an Instagram account or some kind of social media account that the main girl follows him on and he's like doing sexy stuff and she like thinks about it. She's like, "Oh, I wish I could have sexiness with him." And so because he knows that, he kind of like goes towards her. So it's like it's also that part is like now the sex is really part of this story. So it's the sex and the romance. Okay, so in this is the workshop part. I want you to take one of the examples that we've had so far, and I want you to explore a short little story, like not very long. It's like a 5 minute story, so it could be like a few sentences, or maybe there's just like a paragraph or something. But I want you to explore one of the genres that you are curious about, but maybe you haven't written much in, because I want you to start seeing like how comfortable you might feel with this. If you don't feel comfortable with anything and you just want to write sweet, that is completely fine. But I want you to start just thinking about it. Does anyone have any questions, or do you want me to go back and look at some
Hey,
examples?
Liz, I had a question.
Yeah.
So I guess with my writing, you read my writing. Would you consider it pretty sweet and clean then?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And so with my
Very
writing,
hallmarky.
yeah, I can't. Sometimes I try to um, I want that's my image I want, but I also like sometimes like once in a while I'm like how do you like do do they just kiss or can they have like desire for each other?
Yeah. Yeah, no, well, so, and that's kind of where that sensual closed door comes in. So, um, think about how in like Pride and Prejudice, there's really not like there's tension, and maybe it's different from like my modern reader view compared to like their view back in those in like the 1800s. But it's still very much like it's very clean. If we're lucky, we're gonna get like a hand touch, right? Maybe a kiss. That's the sweet, clean. Just because you can have a sweet or clean romance during like modern times. Obviously, that's just like the first one that came to mind. But sensual, and I'll look for something that can kind of give you, but it's really like anytime you've seen in movies where they're getting really close to each other, but there's never really any talk about sex. Like it's not, the open door steamy
Okay.
is more about talking about sex. The sensual is more about like, hey, they're probably going to do it, but we're not talking about it. We're talking more about them making out or like touching each other or like getting really close in the sensual part. So, and then the open door steamy is more like, okay, yeah, they're obviously having sex, but we're not like getting too much into it. So, does
So
that?
my clean, like they would never talk about, oh, let's go in the bedroom or
Yeah.
let's or like because I was writing this new one and I kind of had some of that in it and I was like, and he used the word sexy, but that wouldn't be in the clean book.
Um, well, you can kind of think like here's the thing. So, how much would you blush? if you were sitting with your daughter and you were watching a movie or you're reading a book together, right? How much would you like on the blushing scale? Where would your story be, right? So if you're not really gonna blush and it's more like ah, cute, that's probably the sweet. And if you're super, super blushing, that's like the spicy erotic, right? But maybe that
Okay.
sensual is gonna be like oh, that's oh wow, like, but it's not like you can keep watching it and it's not gonna be like too much. Does that help?
Okay, so yeah, I guess I'm still trying to find my voice. I'd like
Yeah.
to have the clean and image, but sometimes I sneak the other stuff in. So if I'm going for sweet and clean, just get rid of the other stuff. And my
Yeah.
second question was, what sells the best?
Well, so we are going to get into that. But the thing is romance in general is just the highest performing market in books. Like it's just the highest, it's like the most consistent, the best sold. So you can really just choose whatever you want. I mean, there's a lot of people who say sex sells. Like that's just like a general thing. It's a lot easier. But that it's not like you can sell in anything and be super successful. I mean, there's a reason that Hallmark does the same thing over and over and over again, and they don't, it's the most sweetest, like innocent stuff. But for some reason, it's like a multi-million dollar industry. So I think you should just choose whatever you feel the most comfortable in and then just kind of go from there. So you're in romance, you're already in the best performing market, like don't worry. Um, and then and then is it bad that sweet clean is where I'm least comfortable? That is not bad. That is totally fine. None of these you shouldn't if you don't feel comfortable doing something, like don't feel bad about that at all. It's all yeah, exactly. It's all about your audience, who you want, and like what you're most comfortable with. But if you want to try and explore something, you're not usually writing in, I would highly encourage that here. But again, if you absolutely detest writing in sweet or you hate writing in spicy, don't write in those. Just write in something that you're open to, that you could see yourself writing in. Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if this is the right place to ask, so you can tell me and I can wait. But I wrote a memoir and I'm in the middle of editing it. And I have some scenes where there isn't sex, but it's very close,
Mhm.
and because it is nonfiction, right? This is what truly happened. I'm not sure to what level I can take it to stay true to the story, but make it a book that a publisher's gonna want to publish. I'm not sure how to decide on that.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard balance, I feel like, because you don't want to start lying to yourself more, or your readers. But in my experience, I feel like it's best to not go super explicit in a memoir unless people are expecting it. So I would probably I'd probably if it's very specific to the story, that like there's something that happens in that scene specifically, like that needs to be said, then you need to say it. I would for me, I'd either do sensual or open door, and I wouldn't go into that spicy erotica. I think any up to the
Right.
three are fine. Um, but yeah, the spicy erotica romance is really it's for a very particular market, and not everyone's open to it. But most people are open to even a little bit open door steamy if it doesn't go too graphic and it doesn't go too long.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, if your story's like yeah, I mean, I would have to probably read your scene, but it sounds like it probably could just be like sensual closed door, or you could have a little bit of open door if they're like starting to do it, but like maybe, so hopefully
Okay.
it helps. But okay. Does anyone want me to go back to show you the definitions before we start okay, cool. So I'm gonna do 5 minutes, and if no one has any other questions, we can start. So just choose one of the topics and write a few sentences up to a paragraph story. Okay. 5 minutes starting now. Okay, the timer has finished. Does anyone want to share their story?
I will, Liz.
Okay,
I tried something new and I'm sure I didn't do a great job, but I'll read it.
I'm sure it was great. Which topic did you choose?
I try to go steamy.
Ooh, okay.
So don't laugh, everyone. Um, he gripped her neck, pulled her close, and stared intensely into her dark eyes. He wanted her in his bed and a heap of sheets, naked against his body, sweat glistering from her sweet body, their legs entangled, their hearts racing together in a forbidden dance of love. The only problem was Elizabeth was a virgin, and he wanted her first time to be special, not a careless night of passion with him. No matter how much he throbbed, ached to be inside her, he had to release her and walk away.
Oh my goodness. That is good. What are you talking about?
It was good. You did a good
I'm
job, Sarah.
flushing and reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope no one hears. I'm at Savannah's dance class waiting for her.
That's part of the that's just part of the steamy aspect. Great.
So not bad for my first try, huh?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Good job. Anyone else want to share? Well, if you don't feel comfortable now, you can always send this later. Okay, well, I know it wasn't very long, but I just wanted you guys to get a little taste of it and see, okay, do I feel comfortable doing this sort of story? Do I not? Should I just go back to the other one? It's just giving you a little bit more opportunity. And if you do later work on it and you're like, no, you know what, maybe I want some feedback or I just want to look at it. We do have a critiques every month and I'd be happy to listen there. So how intimacy changes storytelling. So in romance, the intimacy scene should advance the relationship just like dialogue or conflict. So you think about how in a thriller, a murder is probably advancing the plot or in an event in like an adventure, now Indiana Jones has to go steal some other artifact from another cave or ancient ruin. This is advancing the plot. So same goes with romance. In a sweet romance, that intimacy might be touching hands, giving each other a long hug, or even looking at each other in the eyes, like this long look. And then, in sensual, closed door, it might be getting super close. Maybe they accidentally fall on top of each other. Oh no, they're touching. Or like that open door steamy is maybe he cups her face, right? Like, but these are like they advance the plot because they're engaging the two characters. They're pulling the characters closer together. And generally in a romance, you will have either one or two breakups or like some kind of fight and they have to get back together. There's usually that like the end like at like the final act breakup and so it's like they have this thing that happens right at that like right before everything comes down and the resolution happens so they have to fall in love again, but these are all happening with those intimacy points and these storytellings. Oh, and I'm not always looking at the see, and we will talk about pen names in just a second too. um Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on the chat. So anyway, so there's intimacy. Choosing the right heat level for you. So, just kind of what I was saying before, if you dread writing intimacy scenes, readers are going to tell, and you're also going to have like a miserable time doing it. If you're like, man, I really, really, really want to write a steamy scene because I think it would be right for the story, but man, do I hate it? Like, maybe it's not right for the story. Maybe you are happier just doing something less intense and you can kind of talk about it without showing a lot of detail, right? You can say like you can give hints, you can show those hints without going deep into like this whole like, oh, well, they had a night of pleasure. Well, you know, you don't have to like say it. You know, if you love writing sensual tension but published in a clean category, your voice may feel restricted. So, you know, you need to find what's right for you. And this kind of goes into pen names, which we'll talk about in just a second. Oh, cool. Okay. So the audience expectations. So different readers are going to expect different things. Readers often choose books specifically for their heat level, and mismatch causes bad reviews. This is why pen names are so important because while it is more marketing, it just gives people this level of not safety, but it's like an understanding. So say like the same thing, like Stephen King. I know he's a horror author, but he has a pen name for I believe it's sci-fi mystery or something, where it's like not completely different. But now we know if he's in his pen name, he's not going to be he's not going to be writing it. He's not going to be writing, you know, Cujo or anything like that, right? Or a Pet Cemetery. But and the same thing with romance. And I think it's almost even more important because not everyone's opened to sex. And I think sex is great. I think having steamy scenes is great, but I don't think it's great for everyone. So I mentioned at the very beginning, I have a pen named Scarlet Xavier, and that's because my dad, he's like, I never want to accidentally read one of your steamy things. And I don't really want him to read that either. So you know, I do Elizabeth Suggs for my horror and like maybe some fun stuff there, but then like the romance, steamy is always in that Scarlet Xavier now. And that just helps readers understand, okay, well, if they pick up Scarlet, they're going to pick up something that has some level of steam. Whereas they pick up Elizabeth, I mean, there might be sensual parts, but it's not going to be super graphic. It's not going to talk about sex really. It's going to be closed door or something like that. Oh, thank you. Oops, did I go backwards? Hold on. No, never mind. Okay. So continue with audience expectations, right? So sweet, clean romance audience, they probably, you know, things are like think of faith-based romances. I know that Amish romances are really popular. I've never read an Amish romance, but apparently there's like a whole niche with that. Hallmark readers, these are cozy romance fans, steamy romance audiences. And you can kind of look at this in like the marketing aspect, like they're probably the ones who are doing Kindle Unlimited romance readers. And this is a really interesting one that I found. People, when you sell at booths, in my experience, they are more open to the non-steamy stuff, buying it in public because I think what happens, especially when they see one of my like naked men covers, is that they get like they're like, "Oh, I can't. That's embarrassing. I can't." Even if it's a good story, I'm not going to buy that cover in person because I don't want anyone yeah, exactly. Dragon still attendees don't like open door. Yeah, people don't really they're not receptive to it. And so usually I don't order a lot of steamy books to like as printed books unless I go to specific events that have like a very steamy aspect or therefore like I'm doing it's a smut, it's like the biggest smut readers conference in September of this coming year. And so I'm going to bring a lot of books there, but that's because that audience expects it. Most of the time, the steamy audience readers are going to go Kindle Unlimited because they plow through a bunch of those books and they're probably hanging out with their families or the kids and they don't want their kids to see that they're reading a half-naked man story. They're going to have it in their on their phone in Kindle, something that they can kind of hide. They're also contemporary romance fans too, so steamy romance readers these these blend. So I understand we're not talking about everything here because I know romantasy, which is a huge market, tend to go a little bit more steamy. And so, but we're talking about like, you know, and so there's the dark romance and fantasy romance tend to do that. But also there's a huge contemporary romance fans. So if you're not really a reader or a writer of really intense plot, like big world building fantasy stories, which I like, but it sometimes it's more like it's simple and easy to just and fun to write, like just something that's happening in daily life. Like this, your contemporary romance fans love that too. You can think of, so I mentioned Lights Out earlier. There's also, I'd have to like Alchemize is well, that one's a dark romance. That one's interesting. But there's also some like Butcher and Blackbird. I can make a whole list. So if you guys want like a list of sweet and steamy stuff, I can make a whole thing at the end if you want. If you want the handout at the end, I'll send this along with some recommendations. Okay, now let's go into marketing and branding. So again, we've talked about it like brand clarity builds trust. So this is anything. If you're making a business in anything, I know it's not as fun, but you have to think of selling a book is very much in that same realm of you're building a business, you're building a brand. You are, you're the brand and your product is the book. So that's why it's easier to sell to people if they know who you are. If you have a social media where people can see your face or have some kind of image of whatever it is, like if it just needs to be something personalized and consistent because people can start trusting you and saying like, okay, I recognize that person. People tend to follow social media profiles and websites and authors who do tend to just like show their face. It's not impossible if you want to be secret, that's fine. Steamy romance readers accept that, but it is a lot easier to show your face because people just like to know that they're supporting a real person. And I think that's more important now than ever, especially with AI coming in and people trying to take advantage of that. If the more authentic you can be, I think the better it is, and people are going to be receptive to that. People are going to like that. Okay, so your heat level. Oh, I'm just gonna hide the little camera so you can see this fully. I don't know if you can see the chat too, so let me just hide that. If someone posts something in the chat, will you just let me know? So the heat level, your heat level will affect how your cover looks. It's going to affect your blurbs, and we can do another activity on that depending on the time. Yeah, we've got time. So we'll do some blurb exercises. It's going to affect how your Amazon categories are and your reader expectations. Again, just kind of going back into that. What do people want to see? What are people expecting when they buy your book? And your heat level is gonna hugely depend on that. It's like one of the most important factors, I feel like. Oh no, you can't see it. Oh shoot. Okay, so the images are not showing here. So I'm gonna Okay, so that's annoying. Sorry. Let me just pull up some Amazon books so I can show you. So some sweet, clean reads, like a Hallmark read. Oops. Books. So I want you to start noticing something. When you look at, and you guys are able to see my Amazon just fine, right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I just want you to see like, okay, so you see this is a sweet romance. There's a lot of bright colors, holding hands, some October stuff, more bright. Even if it has like some oranges and dark colors, it's still very bright. Bright. There's a lot. So Hallmark, maybe I should have clicked a different thing, but Hallmark loves, your Christmas stuff too. But it's a lot of bright things and happy. Okay, now I want you to look up. Okay, so this is Lights Out. This is what I was talking about. Dark. This is a dark romance. But there's dark blue, dark, it's like black. And then like, oops. So Quicksilver. This is a romantasy and super steamy. People love it. Dark colors. There's a little bit of color, right? There's some purple. You can kind of see here, but generally the aspect is dark, black. Let's see. I can show you. Let's see, Haunting Adeline here. I'm gonna I'm going to stop sharing and I'm just going to show you some things. Haunting Adeline, dark here. Let's see. And look at Onyx Storm. These are all dark colors because it's tends to be like these. When it's steamy, people are expecting darker. So I'm going to just share again. How do I present? Okay, so I don't know why I think it was just because I didn't download it.
Liz,
But
Sarah asked, do sweet use people or vectors?
sorry, what? Sweet used? Let's see.
So Sarah asked, do sweet use people or vectors?
Oh, you mean like for covers or for author pictures?
I was like my covers, I've been using the Venters, and I was wondering, like, well, the ones you just showed had people on them, which is more popular for sweet.
So it just depends on what you want. There's a lot more kind of cartoon vector sort of things happening. So you can kind of see here, we've got you know.
Oh, so that's okay. I'm using that.
It's more popular to have real people. Just I've just seen that with more just like these very particular people, but it doesn't mean let's see. This one's a dessert thing.
So for my brand, it would be more important to have real people.
You could, but you can kind of see like hockey romances, they have cartoons. Um let me just pull up all these books right here. So this one's more of like a sweet one, and you can kind of, here, I'll stop sharing again. And you can kind of tell because it's bright colors, right? And this is another sweet, so bright colors. So, and this one's interesting. So have you guys read Emily Henry or any of her stuff? So she does write some steamy-ish kind of. It's more like steamy, sensual, but there's a little bit graphicness. But her stories are a little bit brighter because there's no darkness to them. And they're not erotica. It's really much like Hallmark with a little bit of spice, if that makes sense. And so they're super cute. Funny Story is a really cute one. But yeah, you can kind of see here there she's using cartoons. So whatever you do, I would just say stay consistent with how you do it, because author or readers are going to expect a certain thing. Okay. And then I just kind of showed you the steamy stuff as well. So, but just kind of go through the little, so sweet romance covers, and this can kind of be like, because what you're trying to convey with the covers is like it's a really quick snapshot of what the book is about. So are your readers expecting something happy, like not really, something just like not quick, but just like um light and bubbly. They're gonna want something softer colors. The couples are smiling. There's gonna be cozy imagery. Steamy romance covers. Oh, excuse the I didn't spell that right. But so steamy romance covers the readers are expecting something a little bit darker, something a little bit more intense. I'll just use my example just because I didn't see it immediately. But my steamy covers are very steamy. This is the publisher, had like the sexy man. I mean, obviously you pick this up you're not going to buy this, I think, in person at like just a normal farmer's market. People are like, they'll be too embarrassed. But the thing is it's like conveying completely like, oh, this is very steamy. So what are you doing? What are you expecting? Right. So that guy he had an intense gaze, he had darker tones. But these are just like helpful tips. If you're like Emily Henry, where she does hers are Hallmark with a little spice, there is a little bit of spice in it, so it's not sweet, but it is bubbly and happy and light. like a sweet romance. So it's like, what are you trying? What kind of audience are you trying to get? Let me look at this chat really fast. Yes, Sarah, I know you have. I love it. Okay, so now let's get into pen names. I kind of mentioned it before. I think that they can be very useful, very helpful tools. So clean romance, I would say have it under one name, and if you want steamy, you put it under another. You don't want them to mix because they're going to be very different readers. Because again, the reader expectations are going to, you don't want to lose trust in your readers. You don't want people to get stressed and be like, oh, am I going to accidentally read something with some sex in it? You want it to be really clear, and it prevents brand confusion. And it also makes it so you don't have to worry. So I have a friend, she writes a lot of like clean, romantasy sort of stories, and they're super fun. But she's like, okay, I kind of wanted to do a little bit more steamy stuff. And she's been very hesitant on doing a pen name. And I'm like, you have to do a pen name for that because there are a lot of readers in Utah particularly who love romantasy but do not like steam, and it's something to be very aware of. And you just don't want to lose you know, you don't want people to get confused. And it's more marketing, but I think in the long run it will really, really help you. Yeah, Utah is very key. And that's the thing is because we're in Utah, because we're indie authors, it's just so much easier to tap into the local stuff. People want to buy local, and you just have to see, like, there are plenty of Utah readers who like steamy stuff. So don't be afraid that you're not going to get any less, but you don't want people who don't read steamy to accidentally pick up your book and read it and then get really upset and give you a bad review, you know. So that's a big thing too, is they might give you bad reviews just because you accidentally gave them a wrong thing. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Thanks, Kayla. Yeah, it's just it's very different depending on where you are. And also doing online stuff can really help. But again, even if you post like once a week on a social media steamy profile, but at least you have something there. Or even if you don't even have a social media, if you're just like, nope, I just want to have a pen name to differentiate it, but I'm only going to market my sweet stuff, my steamy stuff is just going to get thrown up on Amazon. Honestly, like I would recommend doing marketing, but it is still that having that separation is still better than accidentally getting them mixed. Okay, so actually before we do that, we have a little bit of time. Do you guys, let's do a 3-minute blurb. Let's see, because we started at 10:30, I think. So let's do 3 minutes. And I'd like you to write a blurb for a story. So kind of going back to that story that you wrote. So I'm going to go back all the way over here. So your sweet, clean, sensual, open door, spicy. Going back to that, and maybe a blurb is too much, but I want you for this time limit, but I want you to feel comfortable writing in a steamy marketing voice and a sweet marketing voice. So even if it's a tagline, do you guys want to kind of explore that? Let's see. Do you have any questions? So what do you want included in a blurb? Let me pull it up. What do I mean? This is a blurb. This is a really long blurb, so I wouldn't recommend doing it for this time limit. Oh, yeah?
Just before we do that, Liz, what do you want to include in the blurb?
So your blurb is going to have your main characters. It's going to have what genre it is. And it's going to have maybe a little bit of whatever the story is.
Could you give us an example of one of your blurbs?
Yeah. So let me just pull it up right here. Or actually, let me go on Amazon. Let me do that here. It'll be easier. One of my other naked men. I was like, hey, David, my husband, I was like, David, okay, you're gonna do the next one, right? Are you gonna pose for my next book? Okay, so here the blurb is in the heart of Galway, there's a buzz in the air, and it's not just the music spilling from the bar owned by the fierce, captivating Maeve Quinn. From the moment I stepped inside, I'm swept away by the warmth of her laughter and the spark in her emerald eyes. So here I have it's a dual POV. This is getting like way too complicated, I think, but in dual POV, we chose to do the Rory instead of Maeve, who starts it just because that's what the publisher wanted. But what I would like you guys to do is write a tagline instead of a blurb because a blurb might be a little bit hard. But I do want you to write a blurb later tonight. Maybe share it with me if you have option, like if you feel up to it. But do a tagline. So a tagline for a sweet romance. Okay, thanks, Kayla. Okay, so taglines. So for this one, it's um the music spilling everywhere. It's like Irish love finds in is found in the most unlikely of places. So I just made that up right there. So that's kind of like a tagline. So a tagline for a sweet one, it could be a love written story written in the stars, whispers of love, a lifetime of joy. So go back here. Um, okay. Do you guys feel like you're up for the making a tagline of the story that you wrote?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions before I start the timer? I'll just do for 3 minutes and just do like one or two sentences. A tagline is usually just a sentence, but if you want to get more into it, you can explore your story. And remember, this can be helpful for the romantasy anthology that we have opened up for everyone. So remember that. I'm going to share that link. I shared it in the beginning, but I'll share it throughout the day that you can just like log on and click and fill out the form to create either a title for it or like submit a title idea or submit for your story. And it can be a poem or it can be a short story or novella, or not novella, sorry, short story or flash fiction. Okay. I'm going to start. Timer, 3 minutes now. time is up. Does anyone want to share?
I guess I'll share since I didn't share the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. And this might be too long still, but I'm trying. Two strangers on the wrong side of a war, driven together through fate and desire.
Ooh, that's not too long. I would
Okay.
almost like, it almost feels like yeah, maybe one more word is missing. Fate and desire. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. No, I like it. Thank you. Thank you, Jared.
Awesome.
Makes me think of romantasy. I love it. Anyone else
Yeah.
want to share? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say yeah. No, that's exactly right. That was the theme.
Cool. Okay, well, if you guys you can always share later, or if you want to work on it, feel free to reach out. Oh, let's see. Anyone in the chat? Okay, yeah, sounds good. So just questions. So keep those two in mind and questions just to ask yourself. What romances do I love reading? This is a big one because the sometimes people won't read in their genre and you can tell. So you don't have to watch things, you don't have to copy people, but you need to know what's popular and decide whether or not you want to use it. So what scenes do I naturally enjoy writing? What scenes do I want to write? Start thinking about that. Who is my target reader? What kind of readers do I want to work with? What emotional tone fits my stories? Is it going to be something darker? Do I just tend to go darker? I've noticed that even with my steamy romance, I still have a little bit of they're not horror, but there are some like not scary scenes, but like intense scenes where you're like, oh no, there's a car accident that happens, or oh no, we have to go find this person so that she doesn't ruin things. So there's always this like a little bit darker tone, and and that's just my thing, right? So find what works for you. See, because when your reading taste is usually what you naturally want to write. And again, people are going to, if you hesitate, if you don't feel like you're really into it, people can tell. And it's okay if you change over time. It's not like you have to be in this box forever. Pen names are there for a reason. So if the story demands a kiss, write the kiss. Longing, let it simmer. Heat, don't shy away. But it's in the sense of what you demand naturally from the story, right? We talk about how the characters take on and like go off and do whatever they want, but that's still like a part of you that's like going through and just like letting your imagination run wild. So in your job as a romance writer is not to fit into a box. It's to emotionally satisfy the love story. It's to make you feel completely honest in yourself and what you feel is right for you and your reader. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. And I'll share this. This is recorded, and all of you will get this presentation, including the other presentations after. So thanks. Does anyone have any questions before we go back into the main room? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.